When Uranus is in the cardinal, the first sign of each season is the cardinal sign. These are signs that are driving energy, driving to make things happen. They're pushing, they're forcing issues. So if Uranus is in a cardinal sign, you're going to force the excitement. You're going to push that radical energy. You're going to push the catalyst. And you're going to push the catalyst and put the disruptive energy out that's affecting other people. So you might create the shock that will allow some advantage or some experience for you, more than you would. Again, two of these are masculine, two of these are feminine. So there's different ways this can work. In Aries, if Uranus is in Aries, that's the cardinal and fire, but it's cardinal and you're pushing on impulse. You're going on impulse. So Uranus is going to increase and excite you about going on impulse more. Sure, I'll get the dirt bike. Sure, I'll get the rollerboard. Sure, I'm going to drive the radical car. Sure, I want a sports car. I'm going to do something different. It's going to be radical action. But Uranus is going to be there, increasing the need to do it yourself. So if you're a teacher and teaching a bunch of kids with Uranus and Aries, now that the kids now are the last 6 years and the next year have Uranus and Aries. So the grade ones now are radical. They're going to be hard to sit still. You know, it's a really different world, and they're pushing to do their own thing. They're pushing to, the anxiety of Uranus is increasing the pushing, but unstabilizing, and make it radical and not so responsible. Their instinct to basically not responsible but exciting in a classroom. Now, if you're a teacher, you're born 21 years before that, you have your Uranus in Capricorn. You're trying to find the excitement by making the structure work more properly. And these are the kids you're going to have to teach that are working to go exactly opposite it, or square off with you about it. Well, everybody's going to have their independent story, but the independent stories are the theme of this generation. So it's just now the 5, 6 years old, those kids, beginning of this are going, but for the next 5 or 6 years, all the kids in grade 1, 2, 3 are going to have this Uranus and Mars, or Uranus and Aries. And they're more likely to break away from the system than to fall through. At the same time, the school systems are getting less and less. People are going and they're not learning as much as they used to. And more people are going out to have trades than to finish university. They're going more independently. So this is like the Uranus in Aries. It's a personal element, but you see it in context of how it's affecting the world and the world that people come into. What are you going to do? I'll try anything. I may have a degree, but I'll go drive the Uber cab or whatever. The system is obviously sucks, so I got to try and find something to do myself. Well, what? So this is the radical Aries, but that is cardinal is pushing it. You take the Cancer, the Uranus in Cancer, which is going to be in 7 years, or you go back to 60 years ago. Or would it be 60? Yeah. So if you go back 63 years ago, Uranus would be at the end of Cancer, so it would have been the time of, so when 63 years ago, that's just post-war, going into the 50s, end of 40s into the 50s. And these people, they came out of a war. Their parents just finished the war. They're looking to have freedom to have it. I got to have my own home. I'm going to have my own family, my own home, and I won't have to fight a war. And this was the consumerism and the American dream of the 50s and 60s. All the media, everybody was marketing, get this security, get this thing, get that, get your home, have your family. And it built up like that. You want to have the TV in your home. You want to have things in your home. The TV in the home is a good example of excitement in the home, changing the old traditions. But it was something that happened, and people were trying to find security or get independence in their own home, have your own, but it wasn't, there was an unstable element in bringing all these elements into the home. As their kids grow up, those people didn't have the stablest homes. The kids came up to be anything different than neuroses of the parents. You know, so the post-war generation they grew up, that were born with this, had parents that were doting and nurturing, or conservative and smothering, and they were just trying to break away from home. That's the part of the hippies, both the Gemini and the Cancer. That was their reaction to the situation. So it's happened. It's in other ways, in other cultures, other places. It was still going on at the same times. But the media and everything, and like electronic media, kind of Uranus, has changed the nature of our lifestyle. It started in the 50s, late 40s into the 50s. It changed it around the world. Not for everybody, but generally, we're not going back to living the way we used to. And our kids certainly aren't. So this projecting the wanting the freedom, but needing the security, Uranus was disruptive and caused worry in Cancer. But that worry made I want to have my home and have my exceptional things in my home. I have exceptional hobbies, or I have exceptional things that come. So the Cancer element picked up, influenced Uranus to go for personal things that give me some freedom or independence. My car, my TV. You know, it's graduated to a whole different level now when we got my cell phones, it's different. But back then, that's just ways you can sort of see the driving Cancer. I got to drive to be secure, but I want to get my independent things. So come to my house and you really see how exciting I am. I don't want to go to your house. It looks boring. But come on over. You won't know till you get there. Okay, so it's trying to collect. It's taking in the energy, but it's building up things to be excited on a personal, one-on-one, independent way. Whew, when you put it into Libra, I'm going to get the dates better for these. This is, okay, so it's a Libra. Uranus was in Libra from really studied the end. So 1969 right through till 1975. 69 to 75. That's from the splitting up of the Beatles. So many changes were happening rather, but Uranus was changing the nature really from the really 70s. It's like this is the radical relationships, the idea of gay relationships or women's rights, or shaking up what's fair, what's not fair, looking for freedom in relationships, not the old smothering ways. It began to be pushed with Uranus in. I mean, it became very powerful when Pluto went into there, but Uranus was the beginning disruptions of changing relationships, of not fitting into, you just aren't going to get married, get together, get married, buy a house, and how new ways of relating began to happen. And excitement came through maybe more cross-cultural relationships. Certainly things were socially changing it, but that need to be different through one's relationships became very strongly. It's not, I don't have to do this. I want to attract someone exciting. I want to be with someone that's different. I want to be interested in who I want to be able to talk to who I'm with. That's the Uranus in Libra, and everybody would have that. So the whole themes of clothes, fashion, music, culture would all cater to that excitement while it's going through there, and the people born at that time will be trying to experience that across their lifetime. So it'd be interesting to go back and just check the cultural things, clothes, style, fashion, music, that were going on when you were born. Because they're the outer image of what's shocking then comes in to affect what you're looking for as freedom now, or afraid of as freedom. But in Libra, you're trying to find someone to share that excitement with, at least one person that shares it with me, that's into the same thing. But it does tend to threaten some of the tradition, like traditional marriage, traditional things. Those things are going to be threatened while the 7 years while Uranus is going through Libra. Then 7 years, 21 years, 20 years later, 21 years later, Saturn, Uranus goes into Capricorn. So Uranus went into Capricorn where we go here, 1989, a little bit in 88, but really 89 till about 96. Well, this was really a lot of planets, all piled, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, all piled up in Capricorn in those times. So it really changed the structure of the world. The electronics, the web, everything changed the structure of the world. And the kids being born up in that are being born with computers, with a whole different sense. Some of the people call them the indigo kids. I think as Uranus was going through Capricorn, that really was, even though tattoos and body piercings were happening before that, it became much more in fashion and much more common sense to have something shocking of a physical nature that you can do to yourself, and it represents something shocking. Look at that tattoo I got. Look at the piercing I got. Look at this. So the idea of anything that was formal or Capricornian, like a formal wedding dress, being in a formal wedding dress with tattoos all down your arms and that became it was very shocking to anyone before that. But it's changed the world. Like, I mean, even the kids born during those late 80s into 90s, they don't have a sense of how's the system ever going to work for them. They're not going to grow up and find the government is going to have their pensions and their things and everything's going to be there. It's not necessarily working for them. So they're almost anti-system, although it's in Capricorn. They're trying to change the system. They want to change the system, and they're pushing to do it differently, to make their commitments in a unique way, to try and find freedom on the web, to get your business set up, to be established, to live the way it's set up in Capricorn. So I like the image of the tattoos and the crystals and all that type of practical, earthy thinking was made really exciting and radical during the 89, 90, 91, 92, during those years. Really changed fashion, design, so much changed while Uranus was going through a traditional sign. But that tradition, the need to shock the tradition was being pushed out. That excitement, being radical. I'm established, but I'm radical. Deal with it. That was being pushed at those points. I mean, with all of the other planets, if you're going to go into the psychological depth or analysis of someone, you really can't do it without having done the moon, all the inner planets first, and then this comes into more perspective. But you could take a lot of thought about the implications. If you detach it from individual normal, you get really many really good concepts of how independence and excitement can happen, or how shocks and anxieties can happen. But really, it's trying to see how this nervous level, it's there. It's not always prominent in your chart. It's just an undercurrent that you can't see that's there. And it will affect, it will challenge your normal ambitions and Saturn and accomplishments. And we struggle in our life to get our accomplishments and make room for some excitement. But these signs, Uranus and the cardinal signs, it's going to push that excitement, and it's going to have, it's almost like if it's an anxiety, it's going to push the anxiety on someone till it blows up. If it's freedom, it's going to push the freedom on others till people either walk away or like, it's not passive in these cardinal signs.